let's go.
Hi, Kat Chancellor here with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I have come up with a project that I'm really proud of, and I have to have a shout out to Sam Calcutt of Mix Up Craft because she's the one that gave me the format for this, and then I use the Stampin' Up! Products, which I'm going to share with you, that are from the new holiday catalog, or well, it won't be new for long because the holidays are here. So if you haven't gotten it, you need to put in an order, especially when you see how nice this project is. I am using the Gingerbread Man, and this is called a pop-up bag card. So you open this up, and a bag shows up, and inside the bag are all kinds of cool little items, kitchen items, and some of them come from the homemade treats bundle, as well as these nice little candy items that come from the Gingerbread Man bundle. And in the back I have a gingerbread cook with a mitten and a candy cane, and I love the sentiments here. It's beginning to taste a lot like Christmas, and then here it says sugar and spice and everything nice, and it says baking spirits bright. So that is the project. It's not that hard. I'm going to give you all the pieces and parts, but again, shout out to Sam Calcutt. I did make some changes to it, which I will point out in this video. But to make some of this, you may recognize some retired items because I did go into my stash, and this is why I love my Stampin' Up! Stash, because I found these two sets that are retired called What's Cookin' and Apron of Love, and those are some of the other items I used. They had some cool dies in here, and I pulled in these dies, the apron, and just some cooking implements that I've kind of used to round out my theme for my card, as well as What's Cooking. Again, they not only had some really nice dies, but they have some, the stamps are nice. I used this little egg beater, I used the spoon, and I believe I used the spatula. So I use these stamps here, and I use the images dies from this set, which had the little frosting bag. This is the dough that goes onto the baking sheet, a cooking mitt, and then a rolling pin, and these are little cookies that come out, and I have those dies right here. Here's my big baking sheet. These are the little cookies that you can stamp out, and then the little icing bag and the cooking mitt right there. So I use those, and then the key piece I used was this wonderful gingerbread bundle, where I have stamped the gingerbread using some white embossing powder. You may recognize these little elements here. These were little candy elements. I think they were from last year. I do believe they're in the catalog. But then this is the new way the Stampin' Up! Dies come in, and all I do is slip out that sheet that they're glued to, and I just add a nice magnetic sheet so I can keep track of them. What's nice about this set is that it comes so that you can make a card and fold gingerbread shaped card. What I really liked about it is it had these neat cutouts for different types of candy here. So this was a candy piece, and then this is the inside to that. There's a lollipop, and it has that candy piece, and then you have a candy cane piece. You also have either a ribbon tie or a bow tie, and that's what I used for this piece right here. This is a scarf, and then these are little gumdrops, and then you have the different, if you wanted to cut out pieces to put different expressions on your Gingerbread Man. You also have a nice little cup and of course a little hat. Just wanted to point out then these are the dies for cutting out the Gingerbread Man. Now I also used the paper. I found every piece of glimmer paper I actually had in my stash, some of which is retired, and I pulled it all in, and I'm just going to kind of kind of show you my little stack of paper pieces. The paper I used is from the Christmas Tags and More. Now this makes Christmas tags, and that's what I bought it for. I like the gingham plaid as well as this plaid here, which is what I used over, and I'll show you. I used this pattern. I used this pattern here, and then it's got a pattern on the back. So I went into this set here, and this set is the, let me pull it in here, Traditions of Christmas 12 by 12 cardstock. It's got some very pretty traditional Christmas patterns, but on the back I kind of like some of these more graphic pieces that I wanted to use. And this is the piece right here that is this one that I use at our, it's basically kind of the same pattern, only a much tighter pattern. So I thought that was a nice combination to use somehow, and I really like this pattern. I also went out and looked at some other paper that I had, which came from the Joy of Christmas. This is retired, but again, Stampin' Up! Didn't have much to go on as far as Christmas paper, so I've pulled in these patterns here that might come in handy. And I also went and I found a retired stack called the Country Gingham. I have that right here, Country Gingham. And this is another retired piece, but it's got some really nice gingham pieces that I thought would go nicely with this project. So see, I think that would go nicely with that. So go into your stash, pull paper. The key pieces I used for this is going to be Christmas Tags and More for these plaid pieces, and the plaid piece that comes from that Christmas Traditions. So those are our key pieces that I used. And if you find anything in your your stash, please pull it out. I also went and I had to find glimmer paper. So again, I went and I use iridescent paper. I use every type of glimmer or glitter paper, even some real red cardstock, and cut all my candy pieces. And you can see I just went in and found everything I could find to use, and even some of this green that I used as well. So I will show you how that turns out when I begin to put some of these together, as well as there's some red velvet paper that's in the catalog to use for bows. The color of my gingerbread is copper clay. I really didn't think the brown really set them off as well as the copper clay, because it kind of has a red, nice, red tone, and it really does look like, either ginger snaps or gingerbread. So these are the pieces and parts that I kind of assembled, put together my project. And of course, I have to bring in my famous little muffin tin, because once I cut everything, I have this is my little cookie sheet right here. And then in the cookie sheet, you will find it has the dough for the cookies. And then if you cut out the cookies, you can even put the little cookies right there, and you can color these. And then I use some clear embossing powder just to kind of give them a nice little glaze. So that's one of the elements that I use for the card. You can see my cookie sheet right there, and I kind of keep them there. I have my aprons that I pulled out, and I was going to use for my cook. I stamped the cookie mitts, and again, after I stamped them, and I believe I used blueberry bushel. After I stamped them, I just used some clear embossing powder, so it gives it a kind of a nice shine. I have the little hat, and the hat here I use the velvet, the red and white velvet that comes in the new catalog, or the holiday catalog. And then here were all the other little kitchen implements that I stamped, and then there were those other implements. Here's my kitchen mitts, and I did both red and blue because I didn't know what kind of contrast. But I have my spatulas here, and I have some I have wooden spoons. I have this really cute little wooden rolling pin. And then there's some other implements that I cut out of gold foil from one of the sets, that either the retired set or I think the cooking set, whatever that set was. So I cut all those. I have them in my little muffin tin. And then here are my candies. And I had a lot of fun with these. I played around with either the velvet and sparklies. I even got some of the Tim Holtz glazes, and I tried to see how that would work. I was kind of experimenting with the Tim Holtz glazes over there. And then I cut out using iridescent paper just to kind of give the candy just another neat look. And I just put them together, as well as just plain cardstock, basic white and real red cardstock, to come up with those candies. And then I did the same thing for all my candy canes. I just came up with different combinations, and I've got some I'm going to put together that I cut out that haven't been assembled, just to kind of show you how to, my thought process on how I created them. And again, I just went through and I just came up with combinations so that I could come up with these lollipops. These are some Tim Holtz distress glazes that I use. Not really what I was looking for, but again, I was just kind of sitting down and kind of experimenting. And these candies go over there. This candy goes over there, because these are just my lollipops. So these are my pieces and parts. First thing you want to do before you make this card is just sit down, and I like to do incremental crafting, where I'll sit down and I'll just make a whole bunch of stuff, and then I can sit back and kind of enjoy the process of assembling. You'll need some basic black, basic white cardstock. You'll need your favorite DSP. You will need some acetate, because I do put an acetate window, and I did make sure that I covered both the front and back of all my pieces. That looks a little bit finished if you wanted to kind of, lay it out like that. Now I want you to notice this ribbon. This is in the catalog. It's called chevron ribbon. And I added it to here because I just thought it just added a really nice trim to the card, and I just added it with just some of my glue. And this is the kind of glue, like whereas Tombow would become sticky if it kind of ekes out. This is the one that does not. It dries clear and it holds pretty well. So I was just playing with that idea of the motif, and I kind of liked it. And it kind of finishes the card a little bit. You can see how my little gingerbread cook, I put her little mitt there, and I gave her an apron, and I think that looks really cute. Now each one of this bag is going to have 3 pockets, and we're going to assemble all of this, and then it has a neat way that it fits onto this piece. It's a 6x6, but you're going to cut it out 5 and 7/8 and 5 and 7/8 in order to fit in the envelope. So those are all the pieces and parts. So let's go ahead and get started. Now to begin with, I'm using my Stamparatus, and I've already cut out gingerbread out of the copper clay. Now I've done this one of 2 ways. First I stamped and then I cut it out, but this time, because I had these cut out, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp. I do like using the Stamparatus because I want to make sure that I get enough Versamark on my image so that I can add the white embossing powder. And I also recommend that this is really a good place to ensure that you use your little embossing buddy. I really want my image to be nice and crisp. So that's what I recommend. And then I just simply put my little stamp there, and then I just kind of just look and make sure it's lined up. I'm using that pad that comes with it, and then I have a coffee filter and some white. I have some white embossing powder, and before I forget, what I want to do is I want to add my my faces. So, and if you wanted to put anything else on here, you can, but I want to keep it kind of simple because I'm going to embellish him with the bow tie and those neat little peppermint candies. Now I'm going to grab this one, and it's kind of cool because it actually puts a little shape there. Now this is going to be our girl, right? So for the girl, I'm going to change my expression, and I want to make sure that I'm going to fold that over like that. Okay. Now I have to make sure I'm pulling it over a little bit because I want to make sure that I kind of get it, you know, lined up there, and it's going to cut nicely around. So for the girl, there's some extra pieces that I like. I'm going to pull out this piece, which is what I'm going to use for the little cheeks. But for the girl, I kind of like, she kind of has these cute little eyes right there. And then I'm going to pull out this piece, which I'm going to stamp separately, and this is her little haircut. Okay, so you can kind of see there's her face. Alright, and it looks like everything's aligned. So let's go ahead and now for the boy, I use Pretty in Pink, and for the girl, I use Real Red. So I'm going to start with the boy and do Pretty in Pink because I think he just needs a little bit of color. He doesn't need a whole lot. There's his. And then for the girl, I like to give her just a little bit more. I'm not real happy with the way that showed up, but and there's hers. Okay, so now that we have our little gingerbread people, and I just want to show you, I forgot to hit record. But I just want to show you what I did is I went ahead and added a velvet cardstock. I added a little bow tie, and then for her I took some of the gingham paper from the Country Gingham 6x6. I cut a little apron, and then I embossed the little baking things. And that says Made with Love. If you can see, that was a stamp, and that comes from this set right here. Added a little bow and then put two little peppermint buttons on her outfit. So she's going to have, I think she's going to hold a candy cane, and she's going to have a mitten, cooking mitt in her hand. Okay, so forgot to hit record, but that's what I did for those two. Now we're going to build the card. Now this card, if you kind of look at the height of this pocket, is about, I think it's about 3 inches tall. And when you look at it, you can see that you really don't see the little gingerbread person behind it. You only see the one in front of it. Well, these are the dimensions that Sam Calcutt had in her tutorial. So I took it, and you're going to need a piece of basic white cardstock, and this piece, and this is my mock-up version. You're going to need 5/8 by 8, and then you're going to score at 5/8, and that's going to give you the back of this piece. And then this will be your flap that's going to go in the front. Now this separate piece here is going to be, you can use 12 by 12 cardstock because you need 11 1/4. But what I did is I just used the 11 and 8.5 by 11 piece of basic white cardstock, and I just added a piece because essentially that's going to be, and you can see, I don't know if you can see my tape. Here's my Scotch tape where I kind of added on my extra piece, because that's the flap you're going to use to glue this bag together. So instead of making this 8.5 or 11 1/4 by 4, I basically did it by 3.5. So when this sits down on the inside of this card, it's going to be not as tall, and you're going to be able to see, is my hopes, is that you're going to be able to see her right there kind of popping out over here, and then we're going to have him on our acetate over here, and then we're going to have all our neat nice gummies and things in the middle. So I think that's kind of how I want this card to come out. You're going to cut this piece, and then we're going to cover this piece with some pattern paper. But before you do that, I'm going to score this at a 5/8, which is just short of 6, and that's going to be my fold line for the front of my card right there. And then I'm going to cut a piece of acetate. Then for this long piece, which is 11, and I'm going to have to cut another piece to add right here, I'm going to score this at 1/2, 1, 5.5, 6, 6.5, and 11. Now this is where I'm going to need that extra piece. Then I have to do the bottom is going to be scored at, this is going to be scored at 1/2 inch right here. This is going to be the bottom of our pocket bag. Okay, so I need to add another piece right here. So I'm just going to go over here to a cutter, and I'm going to grab an extra piece of cardstock here that I have. It's kind of a scrap piece. Okay, so this is a scrap piece, and I need this scrap piece to go there, and that's going to be, because this was 4, so I'm going to cut this and then I'm going to cut just going to cut just kind of just need a 1/2 inch, which is just that right there. Okay, so this is my extra piece. And I'm going to add that right there. I'm just grab a silicone mat so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I'm just gonna add that piece there, and I'm just gonna take a nice long piece of Scotch tape. Okay, and what's gonna happen is it's gonna pick up that piece. I'm gonna turn that over, and then I'm gonna add my little piece right here. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and trim that. Okay, this piece is going to get cut out. We're going to cut out this piece right here. Okay, we're going to cut out these pieces right here. And we're going to cut out these pieces right here. Like that. Okay, then I'm just going to go ahead and fold. This piece goes in, this piece goes in. Here's my tab, and then this is going to be folded in and out. Okay, so I'm going to have the same kind of fold here in. It's kind of like a, just kind of a little mountain view. Basically it's a valid fold right there. Okay, so you have your pieces like this. Okay, so you have valid folds. Then these are going to come in. These are going to go to the bottom of our card, but we have to, I'm going to open these up because I'm going to take this piece. Okay, this piece is going to meet this piece right there. You see that? So I'm going to fold that, and then I'm going to grab my glue. Okay, so we've got this folded like that, and then we have this one folded out. I'm going to grab my glue. And we're just going to glue that piece, and that's going to be our bag. Now it might be a little bit over there, you know, I can get my scissors and kind of trim it. Might be a little bit, again, I can just kind of trim this there, and then you can fold this in, and there is your bag. Okay, and we're going to attach this to the inside of our card. So here's the inside of our card, and I've got two of them, but I'm going to have to go select some cardstock. The front of this one is going to be 4.5 by 3.5. So we're going to do just a little bit shy of 4.5. By 3.5. Okay, and that's going to be that one. A front piece, that's going to be 2 by 5 7/8. Yep, that's about right. Let me just cut this off just a. Okay, I need another one of these that's going to fit on this. smaller one, and this is I think it's 3.5 by 4.5, right? I'm just going to do 4.5 and 3. Okay, so these are going to go on the back and front of that. Yeah, I think I need 5 7/8 and 5 7/8. I'm just going to go with that, 5 7/8. And 5 7/8 this way. Okay, 5 7/8 and 5 7/8 is that panel. Then I need this inside panel here, and that's going to be just shy of 2 inches. Alright, so that is going to go right there. This is for the inside of my card, which is going to be 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, and then I have two here by, oh, I don't know, by 5 7/8 by about 2, and we're going to put that on the inside of this card. And I've got a little white gutter here. But then I'm going to take my bag and I'm going to kind of pop it open like this. And I've got these 2 flaps. Well, I'm going to line these flaps up right at the fold. So they go, and it goes centered right here. And it's kind of easy because I have that plaid to kind of center it. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one over on this side, and this one over on this side. And I'm going to line those up right on either side. I'm going to line this one right along that flap right there, and then I'm going to fold this over. Okay, and that should glue very nicely. And then when you open it up, you put your gussets in there, and there's your bag. Now we're going to do it one more time. I'm going to take this, I'm going to open this gusset up so that I have these flaps like that. Okay, and then we're going to put right along this crease, glue these right there along the crease, on either side of the crease, and we're going to center it as best we can. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that we have these 2, right? Our pockets. Now, I picked some DSP. Now, this is the shorter pocket, this is the taller pocket. So this one here is going to be 4.5 by 3.5. Okay, and you're going to need 2 of those, which are these 2 here. And then this is our smaller pocket. So this one is 3 by 4.5. And that's going to go right there. And we have 2. And I'm using the traditional Christmas paper. I've just turned it around so I can get that pattern. Now I've cut pieces for the front, which is going to match these. This one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here, but we're not going to put them yet because that's the last step when we add our acetate. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply these, because then we have one more step. As you notice, we've got these cute little pockets right here that we're going to have to add, but I want to go ahead and apply these panels to our package. And I'm going to apply this one to our bag right here. And then I'm going, see, and that opens up nicely. And then I'm going to apply this one. So instead of doing that side, I think I'm going to apply it on this side. That gives me just a tad of red to my project. And I'll just apply that one there. And then we'll apply this one to the back of the other one. You don't have to add it to the back. It's more product if you do, but I think it makes just a much more finished project. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to put this one here. But again, let's put those aside because we need to cut acetate, but we're only going to do that after we do our pockets. Now the pockets are going to be cut out of Whisper White cardstock, our basic white cardstock, and I have 2 of them already done here, but I'm going to show you how we're going to cut those. Let me get some. Okay, so I need to cut 3 2 3/4 by 1.5. So I'm going to get my mini cutter here, and that is going to be 2 3/4 by 1.5. So I've got to cut 1.5, 1.5. So now I'm going to grab this itty bitty little scoreboard here, and we're going to score those at, and I'm going to hold it this way. We're going to score right here. You can see this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to score it 1/4. So we're going to score this 1/4, and then we're going to turn this around and we're going to score this at 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. And then I also have this written down that we're going to score it at 5 1/8, but I mean 1 5/8. But to find 1 5/8 on this is kind of hard. So just flip this over and do the same thing. Go ahead and hit 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4, and do that for all of them. It just makes it a lot easier. So 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. Flip it around. 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. Switch it long way and do 1/4. The way this project is designed by Sam is that these become pockets that can actually have stuff in them, okay? But for the purposes of this, I'm not going to use the entire pocket. So we're going to cut these right here. Actually, I'm going to cut this all the way across. Now Sam's project has a bottom to this pocket so that you could actually stuff something in there. Okay, I'm not going to stuff anything in there, I'm just going to glue it. So that's why I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of these pockets. So you can consider that as you're making your project, and you know, I just made it with the dimensions that I got from Sam, and then you know, kind of went from there. So we're going to go ahead and fold these like this, and I'm going to grab my bone folder because I want all these folded nice and crisp. And we're going to fold this, and you can see that's my little pocket. Now each of these pockets is going to have a piece of DSP, and it's going to be a 1 1/8 inch square that we're going to cut. Now they're going to be this pattern, okay, because this is the pattern we're going to put, since we had that on the background. So your background pattern is going to be the pattern for the pockets. So let me grab my cutter here, and we're going to cut, let's see, 1 1 1/8, and then we're just going to go ahead and cut 1/8, and that should fit perfectly on our little pocket. One and an eighth. Okay. So let me move these out of the way, and then let's go ahead and glue our pockets onto or glue our panels onto our pockets. So I have my little pockets here, and I'm going to have 3 pockets on this side, and then 3 pockets on this side. So I am going to line, this isn't going to be too hard because I'm going to line these up. Kind of like that. Put those right there like that. So I can just kind of lightly mark right about there, right about there.
Merry Christmas!
Okay, so you can see how that's going to look. And you can see how that's going to look. Okay, so now that I have those, I'm going to start. So she's going to go right there. And you can see I just have her pop her up on dimensionals. But I'm going to put the candy cane and I'm going to have the oven mitt right here. And I have to keep her under there, but that's where she's going to go. So there she is. So now we're going to pick some things that we want to put in the pockets. I've got the baking sheet and the cookie dough, and I'm just going to trim. SU 400. And there's my cookie pan. And then I have some of these. And I think I'm going to put, these are a little trickier. Now I need a piece of acetate, and the acetate needs to be like 5 7/8. Okay, so this acetate is going to go right on top of this card, like that. So I'm just going to get a mark here, because we're going to mark right there. And then I'm going to grab my tear tape, put a piece of tear tape right there. Okay, so the tear tape is what I'm going to use to hold my acetate in place. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. And then we're going to place this acetate. And there it is. Fits perfectly. And then I'm going to take my piece here and we're going to just put that one right there. See, and that covers the acetate. I'm going to need a piece of tear tape here, and then I'm going to add my glue. And there is my card. Now, he is going to go right there, like that. And I just have all that nice goodness in there. Before I do that, I need to grab this, and I need some black cardstock. Okay, so there we go. So there's this one. There's this one. Okay, so here is our final reveal of our gingerbread pop-up bag cards. Now this was the original one that I did, that I showed you. I kind of added ribbon kind of all over the place, and you can do that. And there is room in here. Look at that. There is room in there if you wanted to put in a candy, some treats, tea bag, chocolate, cocoa, something. Can fit in there. It will be flat enough to fit in a padded envelope if you wanted to send something. I did add all these real red and white adhesive back peppermints. The little peppermints were added. For the tutorial were these two, where I used this DSP, and this was 5 7/8 by 5 7/8 square, and then I did have this was a little bit short, so I added that ribbon on the front, and then I basically backed it up, and I did add a little cover for the gingerbread man right there, should anyone want to, stand it up. I changed my apron to a gingham apron. I have my candy cane, my oven mitt. I put a little bow in her hair, which was kind of different from this one. You can see I have the little peppermint buttons there. And this one I added kind of the little kitchen implements in the front with the pockets. I did add a sentiment here, and then I added the candies, but again, there's room for any kind of extra treat. And this one was the lower one than this one, so you can see this one was at 4, this is at 3.5, so you can see her little face that's kind of peeking out behind our little pocket bag there. And I added bow tie, the buttons, and then I just kind of changed the wink there. Now here's the other one I made. This one I added a little hat. Again, I have my little sentiment here, adding my peppermints. This I added a scarf instead of the bow tie. And then what I did is in the paper, this Christmas tags and more, there are little punch outs of all kinds of little Christmas embellishments. And I added some Distress Collage Medium. I painted that on, and then I just put some of the kind of like ice glitter, and I added those on. I added the little cup here. Put my lollipops are kind of in a grouping there. It's a little bit different than that one. So you really have a lot of options for how you want to put that together. And again, you have room. She has, now this, when you cut this piece, it creates this nice little doily. So I kind of like that apron. And I just cut pieces and I added them to the sleeves to kind of create a little bit of frill. Now here you can see this kind of dips down, and that's because I kind of used circle punch, kind of nib that in. Otherwise you can see how that apron kind of is straight across. So that is this one, and her face still sticks out, and this is a short one. It's still at the 3 inches, but you can see there's really a lot of things you can add. And if you kind of glitterize these neat little embellishment pieces, you can kind of play with those to add more bling to your bag. This one I haven't added the back of the gingerbread man, but you can see I think it does make a difference, so I will have to do that before I send it. This is that velvet paper, so you can see how pretty that looks. Now I went and I made, believe it or not, I made one more, and I did it with most of the scraps, but I chose to do a background in red instead of green, and I put her in this background again with the gingham apron and she's got her little bow on her head. And then you can see I added some candy canes from the ephemerals, and I added the little cup here that comes with the dies, and I used a iridescent cardstock. And these are the little cookies. Now I cut those out, and I also, you can see I went ahead and used clear embossing powder to kind of give them a little bit of sheen. And then I kind of added some of our little peppermints kind of around. And again, I need to add the backing to that because I do think it makes it look more finished. I just took some scraps and I just kind of added it together and used my ribbon here as a border, and just added the little peppermints there. So I hope that this project has inspired you. There's still time to take out the gingerbread set here. It's a really fun project if you like detail, and I think it's a wow project for this Christmas. This will definitely be one of the cards I'll be sending to my mother, who's 91. I always give her kind of one of my big wow cards for the holidays. If you haven't already, please hit like. All products are available in my online store. I will provide a link. Go to my blog for project details, and if you're looking for a demo, please consider joining my team. Consider joining as a hobbyist to enjoy a 20% discount. If you are a demo and you like my content, please support my channel by hitting like, share, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and you can find me on stampartconnection.com if you'd like to post a picture of what you created this holiday season. This is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and stampartconnection.com, wishing you a very, very happy holidays and happy stamping.